They said it couldn't be done. So welcome to the Swiss Alps in BeamNG. I'm recreating over 100 square kilometers on a 1:1 scale, and I'm thrilled to announce that we've finally gotten to a playable state. When my last devlog blew up at the start of the year, I promised I'd come back with a proper progress to show. Well, after posting a few teasers recently, your reactions have been insane. To think I started with basically zero map creation experience and yet managed to build this makes me incredibly optimistic that we are going to hit the ambitious goals I set at the very beginning. Because back then the overall sentiment wasn't too positive. People called me out for being too ambitious, unrealistic, and barely anyone believed I'd actually be able to pull it off. I'm so glad to finally prove myself. However, if there was an award for the most unfortunately timed project ever, I think this would win it. Right after I posted the first devlog at the end of 2024 and started properly working on the map, the BeamNG devs pushed out new world editor features that would have saved me days of effort. Similarly, at the beginning of this year I spent days building a custom tool to export OpenStreetMap road data into BeamNG Tech, the academic version I got special access to. Literally a week after I finished my exporter, YouTube recommended a video from another Swiss creator who had just released a public tool doing exactly what I did, but better. I'm not complaining though, that tool severely shortened the time I had to spend gathering assets from vanilla BeamNG maps. Thanks to that, it didn't take long for me to finally add terrain materials, vegetation, and even roads. Though those still need a little bit of work, which I'll get to in a second. Now, while I make that sound easy, it wasn't exactly a walk in the park. As you might remember, this map sits right on the border of Switzerland and Italy. The Swiss government offers super detailed terrain data, but it stops at the border. I didn't want the world to just cut off into the wood, so I had to track down Italian height map data for the region, manipulate the files, import them together, and I was left with this. It looks like Minecraft with some weird shaders installed. Turns out the resolution on the Italian side wasn't exactly ideal. But since it mainly serves as a distant background to block the edge of the world, it works for now and I'll smooth it out later. I won't bore you with any more technical details, but essentially the tool I mentioned lets you grab surface data from OpenStreetMap and paint those areas with a specific material in BeamNG. Repeat that for all types of ground cover like grass, cliffs or snow, and fix the colors by blending them with the real satellite image, and the map is really starting to shape up now. It's still missing something though, vegetation. But since placing millions of trees by hand is a great way to lose your mind, BeamNG's relatively new biome tool really came in handy here. It lets you assign trees and bushes to a specific terrain material and boom, I populated entire mountainsides with dense forest in a matter of minutes. I haven't done this for the rocky areas just yet though, because I'd like to tweak the vanilla rock assets a bit before I scatter them everywhere. The road on the other hand turned into a much bigger headache. The data turned out to be rather inconsistent in this area. Plus, I want to change some unpaved roads to paved sections and turn certain hiking trails into rally stages, just so the map isn't exclusively an off-roading paradise. It's gonna take some time to figure this out, but hopefully by the next devlog we'll have a fully drivable road network. But enough about what I've been doing. The single most asked thing in the comments was, is this map gonna feature a city? If you were expecting a massive Swiss city like Zurich, I'm gonna have to disappoint you. In real life, only about 140 people live in this valley. But don't worry, the map still features 2 villages, both recreated as faithfully as I possibly could. Originally, given my pretty terrible Blender skills, I planned to just buy a Swiss chalet pack and call it a day. But I quickly realized that wasn't gonna cut it. The architecture in this specific part of Switzerland is super unique. The wood is essentially burned to a charcoal-like state by the sun. I couldn't find any usable assets online, so it was clear I had to do this myself. Considering the sheer scale of the map, we really can't use high polygon buildings. They have to be optimized to the exact same level as official BeamNG content, if not even more. A lot of you reached out offering to help, which is amazing, but I decided it's about time I learned Blender myself. It took days, but I was eventually left with somewhat realistic looking houses. I baked the wood textures individually for authentic colors until I realized each building was suddenly eating up hundreds of megabytes of memory. That wasn't gonna work. After digging into early 2000s game development forums for optimization secrets, I got an idea. We used exactly one wood material. We randomized the UV offsets on the wooden beams, flipped them to break the pattern, multiplied with the mesh color, and just like that, highly optimized buildings come to life. I've also modeled landmarks like a church, a hotel, and a barn with these specific stone plates. First person in the comments to guess what those plates are for gets a shout out in the next video. However, modeling everything by hand and scattering them around was gonna look a bit unnatural and, more importantly, take way too much time. You might remember the white placeholder buildings in the last devlog that I downloaded from the Swiss Federal Office of Topography. I bit the bullet and spent a month properly learning Python to use this data and turn it into fully procedural villages. In the next devlog, I'll explain how I did this in more detail, so make sure you subscribe for that. Now onto your main concern, optimization. I swear a third of the comments on the last devlog were pointing out my 128 gigs of RAM, worrying that this map would only run on a NASA computer. Currently, the map uses about 20% more RAM than vanilla levels like Italy or West Coast USA. If that number goes up, I'll create a performance-friendly version with 2-dimensional trees, heavier fog, and so on. Rest assured, if your PC can run the official maps, it will run this one in one way or another despite being 8 times as large. I'll be testing on various devices and inviting testers soon. This leads right into the next big questions. When and where will I publish it, and more importantly, will it be a paid mod? Like I said, I want everyone who wants to try it to be able to try it. So there's absolutely gonna be a free demo version likely published on the BeamNG forums. Once the environment is fully complete, the goal is to get it onto the official repository. But given the massive amount of time I'm pouring into this, I do plan to release a paid version down the line once it's fully stable, featuring custom missions and potential expansions. Now, I know I'll probably need some help eventually, and I genuinely appreciate everyone who has reached out to help. But to avoid the legal headache of figuring out revenue splits, I want to get as far as possible on my own. Also, doing it the hard way means I learn the most. Because at the end of the day, this is a passion project. Development will continue until I'm completely happy with it. And knowing what perfectionist I can be, that will probably be never. So when can you expect that demo? Well, I'm visiting the Real Life Valley one more time this summer to gather reference images and meet with a local tourism office to see if we can collaborate or if I can get some extra data. I also need to clear up a few last minute licensing questions, which shouldn't be a problem knowing the people there though. Once all of that is done, I'm aiming to publish the demo towards the end of autumn this year. Ideally before GTA 6 comes out, but I don't think that's gonna be a problem, to be honest. I'll keep the what's next part short, since the roadmap from my very first devlog is still largely up to date. Due to popular request, I'm adding an open garage and 2 airstrips for roleplay. I even bought a book on the Real Valley's culture for inspiration, so expect tons of hidden details, Easter eggs and mountain huts. I'm also focusing on an often overlooked feature, ambient sounds to really bring the map to life. I hope this video cleared up your biggest questions. If you have any more, please just comment them down below. The best way to support the project right now is to like this video, subscribe, and if you want to help fund the development directly, consider becoming a channel member. See ya next time!